Hey everybody, it's Brian, and I wanted to cover today transplanting Musa Basjoos and how I do that. Now it's early spring for me, and I'm going to transplant a few Musa Basjoos while I'm cleaning up here from the winter. These are mature plants that have lived for a while, so I can be a little bit more rough with them than I would normally be with a newer plant. I know they have really good root systems here, and there's no concern that I won't get viable roots when I dig these up. So I'm staying about 6 inches away from the stem if I've got the space. I'm going pretty steep down with the shovel, and I'm taking the shovel all the way down and then pulling up. I'm also going all the way around the plant, trying to break any connection that it might have to some of the other plants around it. Once I've gone all the way around and done that pulling up on the plant, it's going to start to come out. Now you can see here, this one's got lots of good roots and will transplant just fine. This next one here is a little bit trickier because the base of the stem is right next to another plant, and I want to keep that plant where it is. So I'm putting the shovel right in between those two stems, pushing down as hard as I can. It's a little bit difficult here because it's raining, so the shovel is slippery, but I'm putting that shovel right in between the plants, pushing down. Where I do have room, I'm staying 6 inches away from the stem. This one takes a little bit more work than the last one. Eventually it does break free and come out. You can see here the solid white mass is the corm, which sits right below the stem. You can see how it was connected to the other plants that were right next to it. And I had to cut all the way through this, which is why it makes it a little bit harder to dig them out when they're right next to each other. You're not just cutting out 1/4-inch roots. You're trying to cut through several inches of corm to separate them. Now, this is the process that I use for mature plants. If the plants are younger, I'm more cautious. And also, I consider another factor, which is how far away it is from the main stem that it's growing off of. So here's a still from some video that I took over the summer. You see the main stem here on the right, and then you see some newer plants off to the left. And in my experience, when plants are as close as this first one here, it can take a long time before they develop their own roots. I'll wait until it's about 4 feet tall before trying to take this off and transplant it. I've cut plants before that are 3 feet or taller, and they have no viable roots once I separate them from the main plant. When a plant is further away, like the one on the far left, I'll take it between 2 and 3 feet tall, depending on how much space there is. I find those plants develop their own root systems faster, and they can be taken sooner. Now back to the mature plants. I'm going to put these over here where these two sad looking Musa Basjoos are. These are the two that I took out of a pot a few weeks back and slammed down in the ground here. The one in the back has a little tiny bit of growth. The one in the front hasn't grown at all. I don't think it's alive. So one thing that I decided to do while I was doing this, I've read about dividing banana corms and getting 2 or more plants from one using this method of division. I've never done this before. It'll probably work. I don't have any reason to believe that it won't work. But just know this is experimental for me, this division here. I'm trying it for the first time, and results are not guaranteed. So don't go chopping up your plants unless you know what you're doing, or wait for a few weeks or months. I'll provide updates on this. But I'm just using a machete and cutting the corm in half. I have to say, nothing says Tropics like hacking a banana plant with a machete. It's a great feeling. Makes me feel like I'm not in zone 8. So from here, I'm going to dig holes for now 3 new plants. One hole gets the first full Musa Basjoo that I took out. The other 2 holes each get a half from the one I split. From here, I give them a light dusting of fertilizer and I water them in. And that's really it. So nothing crazy fancy. The biggest thing for me has always been with newer plants, making sure that either they're far away from the main plant or waiting until they get pretty big, 4 feet or taller. And then it's just a matter of cutting out as best you can, cutting straight down and pulling out 12 plus inches below the ground of the corm and some of those roots. Don't forget to fertilize it. It makes a world of difference as well. Give it lots of water and you'll be good to go. Any questions, drop them below in the comments and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks for watching and happy growing.